Right now, a member of Congress who's an AIPAC millionaire is trying to sic the Capitol Police to go after me after I made a video on him exposing his genocidal rhetoric and friendships with Israeli war criminals, hoping that one day he would be held accountable for his crimes in a similar manner that the perpetrators of the Holocaust were held accountable in the Nuremberg trials after World War II. This is Richie Torres. He represents the Bronx district in the House, and he's taken well over $1 million from AIPAC, one of the largest spenders in the pro-Israel lobby, who has captured most of our Congress. In 2024, AIPAC spent money on most of the congressional races and won 386 seats. That's a majority of our entire Congress, dominated by a pro-Israel lobby. AIPAC's #1 job here in the United States is to make sure that our government keeps sending Israel bombs. That's it. Taking money from them is so criminal, so morally bankrupt, I really can't put it into more words without wasting more time in this video. It's blood money. And Richie Torres has enjoyed his trips to Israel. He's enjoyed meeting the war criminals who have carried out this genocide, who have spouted genocidal and dehumanizing rhetoric against the Palestinians, which Richie does as well. So when I made a video about Richie and how he's taken blood-stained money and raised awareness about the criminals who are in our government, he took notice, and he spent the last week slandering me as an anti-Semite, which is a claim that has no backing. There's no truth behind it whatsoever. Anybody who knows who I am, has heard what I have to say online, knows that I don't have any problem with Jewish people at all. Nothing. Nothing. Now, in complete honesty, I thought it was funny watching Richie freak out over what I had posted about him. His libel against me didn't bother me, but just an hour ago, he went to the New York Shitpost and gave them the scoop on how he's sicking the Capitol Police after me to investigate me for supposed threats of violence, another claim which has no truth to it. In my video, and this is what he twists up, I say, "Now Richie, screenshots last forever. What you have done will haunt your family for eternity. And if you're still alive, you will end up in a Nuremberg trial." The meaning behind that is pretty obvious. I'm saying that when justice comes for Palestine, if Richie's still alive, meaning not old and dead and deceased or whatever, he will end up in the court alongside the rest of the people there. But there's some people, especially in our government, who are way too old that I don't expect to see in a Nuremberg trial, like Joe Biden has cancer, who unfortunately won't be alive by the time justice reaches the Palestinian people, and he won't have his day in court. That's an example of somebody who won't be alive to end up in a Nuremberg trial. And that's all I meant by that. But of course, as this whole week has been a massive character assassination on me, attempting to discredit me, labeling me as gay, or it's so wild. New York Post calling me babyface in every article they publish about me. Their gutter journalism is exactly why nobody takes the New York seriously anymore. This is utterly ridiculous. Anybody in their right mind knows when they see my content that I'm not an anti-Semite. I hate Nazis just as equally as I do Zionists. Anyone who sees my content knows that I do not incite violence. I do not tell anyone to make threats. I do not want anyone to make threats. Why would I call for people to make threats? All that would do is jeopardize my platform. I'm non-violent. Now, in the grand scheme of things, Richie Torres is just another useless, low-level politician in Congress compared to the rest. His career has only been elevated because he promised to staunchly defend Zionists' crimes. And if we want to talk about incitement to violence, Richie Torres' support for Israel's crimes and defense of them here in the States emboldens Israel to go even further with their crimes. Right now, Israel is putting Palestinians in cages, and they are whisking the Palestinians they deem a threat or they want to remove, like journalists or critics of the state of Israel, are being disappeared through this aid distribution plan, which has already gone horribly wrong. It's horrific, the videos that we're seeing today. And I want to talk about this first, but this was more important to address, obviously, but there's a video later coming out about that. People like Richie Torres, you won't hear a word out of his mouth about that. You won't hear him talk about how Israel fired at dozens of diplomats from all over the world as they tried to talk to Palestinians in the West Bank last week. You won't hear him condemn Israel for assassinating diplomats in other neighboring countries. You won't hear him talk about how Israel has starved out Gaza for 80 plus days and is now putting them into concentration camps. He won't say anything about that. If he does, his career's over. He's not going to be propped up by AIPAC anymore. His lips are sealed. Maybe deep down, he has some morals way deep down inside him that might make him want to say something about it, but he never will. He never will. And that's the biggest issue, is that when you have these, not even just the pros or lobby, but lobbying in general in the United States, what we've seen for over a decade now is that these interests take over human interests, the interests of the people, humanity. They suck the humanity out of our politicians, who now are beholden to interests that are funding them way more than, honestly, the people of this country are. It's blood money. It really is. And that's why I said that I hope that Richie Torres' pajamas get stained with blood when he goes to sleep on that pile of money he took from AIPAC, because it's blood money. But yeah, I don't think people like Richie Torres should have a career meeting with like the worst war criminals that we might ever be alive to witness. There's no excuse for it, honestly. And anything in defense of Israel that he's saying every single day on his social media or in his speeches or whatever, you can't defend what he's saying. He's advocating that there's no genocide. He's saying that it's so wrong, guys. It's so bad. And if you speak out about it, he'll go to the New York shitpost and get them to slander you for days on end. That's just the thing. We are really close to completely breaking the Zionist narrative in America. And that's why they're fighting so hard to get rid of anyone who's shattering that narrative. So I encourage you guys, please support me right now. I am in need of it. All my socials are in my bio. There's ways to support me directly in my bio. Make sure you got me on a few different platforms in case I get removed. Thank you, and free Palestine.